Hi everybody, it's Audrey. Welcome back. Today I have a page for Just Nick, and I am using one of the new cut files in the store. It's called the Loopy Doop Background. And recently I've been doing a lot of winter pages and Christmas pages, and I needed to get out of that because I'm getting a little burnout. So I whipped out some springtime photos and some beautiful springtime papers. These are from the Take Me Away collection from Paige Evans for Pink Paisley. So some beautiful pastel colors. And so what I've done with this cut file, I wanted to use quite a bit of the file in my background. However, I did not want to blow it up to 12 by 12 because I wanted the loops to be kind of tiny. So I cut out 3 6 by 6 squares of this shape. Now, a lot of the background shapes in the store, well, quite a few of them come in like a square shape. What I like to do with these is take my scissors and fussy cut out kind of like the organic shapes and give it kind of like an irregular edge, just to have the shapes be the edge and not necessarily have it fit in a square, because I kind of like that natural look of some of these shapes instead of the square around the edge. So that's what I'm doing here with my scissors. It's just kind of going around and fiddling around, trying to find some of the whole kind of loop shapes to cut out. And you can see I'm really taking some time to do that. So I did 3 of these, like I said, because I wanted the loop holes to be a little bit smaller. So I'm kind of okay with where this is going. It was some of the flowers, or I guess you can call them flowers. I'm going to call them flower shapes, aren't complete flowers, but that doesn't matter because I cover up a lot with the embellishments. So now when you overlap the 3 of them like this, and I put my photos over them, and I'm going to put the embellishments on, you can't even tell that it's 3 separate files. So like I said, once you get everything on there, it just kind of covers it up, and it doesn't even look like one file. So I think this makes the file look really different from the way it looks in the original diagram. So I'm really pleased with how these loops came out in the back, or on the background. So I'm going to start embellishing my page a little bit. I love the shape of these frames on this piece of paper. They're about 3 by 4 size, and I thought that maybe my photos were way too big to fit in the frame, but I thought they would be cool kind of underneath the photos as like a layer. So I cut out a few of those. Now this transparency, I really thought I was going to use it, but then I realized once you take it out of the package, it's very hard to see on the colored background, and it kind of makes the colors obviously look different because it's not white, it's on whatever color your background is. So I will come back to that, but at first I wasn't sure once I pulled it out if I was going to use it or not, but I do come back to it. My plan is to keep the background kind of with the pink and the mint colors, and then bring in yellow as an accent color. So I am looking through the chipboard and the papers here for some accents of yellow. By the way, all I have of this collection are the papers and the chipboard, the 6 by 12 chipboard stickers on the left there. So that's it. So I did bring in a few other things. Okay, so I fiddled around for a little bit, kind of pushed papers around, and I went back to that transparency and I cut out some of the gold leaves and the yellow flower. And I wasn't sure, like I said, if I was going to use that yellow flower because it kind of looks orange, but some of the yellow does show up on that little transparency piece when it overlaps the cut file. You can see it looks really yellow, so I decided to leave it. I like the way it looks. I like that you can see the loopy cut file underneath, so I'm going to leave that there. These gold leaves from that transparency are absolutely beautiful, so I just fussy cut out those. They do have a little bit of color in them too. It's kind of like a greenish color, but they're just so pretty. So I'm going to fool around with placing these leaves and cutting them out from the transparency, and I do go through and cut out a few more. The transparency itself is really pretty, but I just could not see myself using the whole thing on one page. So I'm definitely going to cut it up and use it in little bits here and there. I'm bringing off some other stickers from this sticker sheet. I was thinking about using that one yellow flower, but it was just too bright. It was too bright of a yellow. It didn't really match. So I went with that kind of peachy flower. I love the little teal color bow. I put that in the bottom of the frame. And then I'm just going to scatter some of these hearts up in the top right corner, because that corner up there was kind of empty, so I wanted to fill in a little bit. So this kind of came together quick. I just kind of put all those embellishments on, and that was pretty much it. So I'm going through my flare and some old brads. These are actual brads with actual prongs on them. I think these are some old Dear Lizzie brads from one of her collections. Gosh, probably from 5 years ago or more. But the gold was really pretty. It picked up the gold in the transparency there, and the little images inside the brads were cute too. They kind of matched the collection very well. Just going through a couple other stickers, going to add those on. I found, when I was looking for some more brads, I found these gold heart paper clips, and I thought that would be a little good space filler up there on the top of that photo. That fits in there. Whenever I put those on, I'm not sure if you're supposed to have like the big part of the paper clip in the front and the little part in the back, or the little part in the front and the little bit. I guess it doesn't matter, but that's the way I put mine on. Okay, gonna go through and start gluing some things down now. I'm kind of working backwards, so I always build my pages up from the bottom, and then as I take things off, I kind of glue them together and kind of put them to the side. So I glued the flowers to that little title square there, and I'm going to put some foam on the back because I want it to pop off a little bit, and I'm going to put that to the side so I can go back to my background. I'm just fiddling around with that foam. I just bought a whole bunch of that craft foam, by the way, on Amazon. I got a huge pack of like, I don't know, 20 sheets for like 10 bucks. I don't know if that's a good price or not, but guess what? I didn't have to go out to the store and get it, and it came in 2 days. So I love Amazon Prime. But yeah, I love using that stuff. And it's the self-adhesive one, which is great. I love the self-adhesive foam. So I'm doing the same thing here with this piece of chipboard and these transparency with the leaves on it. And I'm just I use some glue dots to glue the leaves. Glued the photos together, glued the sticker on there, and so now that photo is kind of grouped together, and I can just move that whole thing around. This is the tricky part, arranging this. I wanted these three files, these three cuts to stay together, but I knew I wanted to add some papers behind the background of some of the openings. So I'll come back to that in a second. Got to add my obligatory splatters here. I tried to pick out the colors, like I kept the kind of greenish minty colors to the top left, and then the middle I'm kind of trying to do this kind of coral and a little bit of purple, and then the bottom right I'm trying to stick with the pink. So I'm trying to keep everything on the page in the color area that it's in according to the background, if that makes any sense at all. I do the same thing here when I'm going to start filling up these shapes on this cut file too. So I'm going to go through this piece of paper. Is so handy. I love that Paige has pieces of paper like this in her collection, where it's just like little squares of a whole bunch of the patterns, so that if you only need a little bit, you can just cut a little bit out. So I love that. So again, I'm trying to match the colors to the area of the page where that's going to be. It's not a perfect match, but I guess if it were a perfect match, you wouldn't see it as much, but it's very subtle. But it won't take away, it doesn't take away, in the finished page, it definitely doesn't take away from the rest of the design, which I like. So you can see it, it's subtle, but it you can, again, it still adds to the design of the page. So I know a lot of people have different ways of, like when you have a cut file like this and you're going to add paper to the background, a lot of people have different ways to do it. Some people trace the shape and then cut it out and glue it. I like to just kind of take a big piece of paper, as you see there, and just glue it to the background and then let it dry for a minute, and then I go back with my scissors and kind of just cut around the edge. And that's how I do it. I know there's lots of different ways to do it. I guess it also probably depends on the shape of the file you're cutting as well. But these pieces were so little, I just could not see myself tracing them and then going through and cutting each piece out and then matching it up again. And with the way I scrap, I'm sure all the little pieces, once I cut them out, would end up all over the place, and I'd lose them and have to recut them. So I'm just going to do it this way. I'm not going to show you this whole process, but I was just kind of trying to give you an idea of how I do this here. There are lots of different ways you could fill this file. I just randomly picked a couple of the loops and filled them, but you could, you know, fill the circles with one color and then the kind of leafy parts with the other, but lots of possibilities. All right, so that is full. Well, not full, but the areas that I wanted to add in some color, I have added in some color in the background. And I wanted to kind of soften the back of my photo to make it stand off the background a little bit. I am using mixed media sheets from ThermoWeb. If you like to have soft layers behind your paper, I highly recommend this. You can go to the ThermoWeb blog and get some. It's so pretty. It's like an interfacing that you buy in like a fabric section of a store. It adds a really soft layer. It's thicker than tissue paper. It's a little bit sturdier than tissue paper, but you can still rip it. And these are the lightweight sheets. There are heavyweight sheets. They're much more difficult to rip, however. So I love using the lightweight sheets as a soft layer behind my photos. And since I already had all those other things glued to my photos and my title, I just plopped those back on, glued those babies down, and I'm adding the hearts up there. I did add some glue to the back of those hearts because they do not stick very well, especially since I take them on and off the page so many times. So I'm going to stick that down. With those interfacing sheets, the mixed media sheets, by the way, you definitely want to use a tape runner and not a liquid glue because they just don't do well with the liquid glue. I think they adhere much better with a tape runner. All right, next I wanted to bring in a little bit of sparkle, and I had felt from the beginning that I was going to add some sequins to my page somewhere. And oh, let me go back to this frame for a second. I put that frame back in there. I love those frames. I thought it took away from the background. Doesn't really show up very much, so I took the frame out, and I don't actually end up using any of the three frames that I fussy cut out. But that's okay, because then you can see the background cut file more. I add a little label sticker to the left of my photo there for the date, and now I'm going to add in some sequins. So again, I was thinking about sequins from the very beginning, and that I was initially going to add in some kind of like clear, like they're kind of like an opal kind of opalescent sequin, but I picked up this package of sequins because it was on my floor and I stepped on it, and I thought, oh, hey, maybe I'll try some yellow because I could stand to bring in a little bit more yellow on this page. These are from the Spiegelmom Scrap Store. We did a collaboration with them for creative scrappers, and I got this adorable sequin pack. So I love it. I love it. And I love the little bits of yellow sequins on there. So I just scattered those on the page. Okay, now for my amazing title. I spent hours thinking about what my title was going to be, and I decided on the word spring. I am so creative sometimes. But, you know, I kind of thought, all right, you know, my kid's jumping in the air, kind of like springing up in the air, and I didn't want to write all that, so spring it is. And I'll just use the 3x4 card as my subtitle. Spring, you are my sunshine. So I guess that's what it is. I am fiddling around with some different stickers and thickers. I definitely wanted to use white. I thought maybe down here, kind of in this dark pink area, but it kind of gets lost and you don't really see it very well. I love that font though. It's really it goes great with this cut file because the loop in the P and the G are kind of like the loops in the file. So I took that away from that corner because I kind of liked the white space there. I mean, I know it's not white, but I like having that empty space there. Oh, there, I moved that heart back down. Yeah, it looks much better down there, having the dark colors all down there and the light colors. And I take that XO heart off the top. All right, here's what I did. I went through and added some washi tape behind the word spring and behind my gold heart clip. And I added in some journaling strips at the bottom, which I stitched down with some machine stitching, and that's about it. You can see the machine stitching a little bit there in the word spring. And there it is. There's those fun little sequins. I love them. Oh my gosh, it makes me so happy to do a springy page like this, so I hope it inspires you too. Go check out the Just Nick store for all the new great cut files this month, and stay scrappy, my friends. I'll see you soon.